We've been talking so much about stress and just what stress does to the body. And I think a lot of people really underestimate just how much stress can impact everything that we do, everything that we think, our ability to problem solve, plan, memory. It can impact every part of our life if we let it get out of control. This is so important with our kids, just understanding that when they go into fight or flight, their brain, the amygdala gets activated, which is the part of the brain that's in survival mode. And so in order for that to happen, it's preparing the body to, fight. It's thinking it's in danger. And, the stress hormones get dumped, the adrenaline and cortisol. And so it's preparing the body to move because it thinks it's in danger and it needs to run. That's what the survival mode, that part of the brain, that's what it was designed to do. And interesting enough, that is really the part of the brain that is there from the very beginning, from right after we're born. Whereas we get older, the other parts of the brain, they start to develop over time. And so thinking about that, just thinking about what stress does. And so when that part of the brain gets activated, you go into survival mode, that survival brain, right, the primitive brain, right, it gets activated. And so in order for that to happen, it has to shut off other brain vital processes. And so that means that the part of the brain, like the frontal lobe, which is what we, part of our executive functioning, our ability to think, reasoning, just like logical reasoning, being able to, have a conversation with somebody, that part gets shut down, because in order for the other brain to focus on what it needs to do to keep the body safe and to prepare it for being able to bolt or run or whatever it needs to do, the survival mechanism is that it shuts off those other brain processes. And so what that looks like is that your ability to problem solve, your ability to use good judgment, your ability to have a conversation, and your ability to remember, it kind of goes out the window and gets shut down. And so, and because again, we're in this survival mode, and what that could look like is complete total withdrawal, and where we kind of like glass over. You might see that the fight responses, where you're trying to have a conversation and you're fighting and yelling and screaming, or you want to run away. And so I think that a lot of times when we see these, we don't understand why, especially with our kids, even with ourselves, why we are not able to have a rational conversation with the person at that point. What I'm here to tell you is that when that stress response gets activated, you can't, because the stress hormones have activated the other systems, and literally that part of the brain is shut down. And so you have to wait for those stress hormones to have left the system in order for the other parts of the brain to wake back up. And when this happens continually over and over and over again, literally you can have a stunted growth for that part of the brain where you're not really using it. And you've heard the term like use it or lose it, right? So when we're not using that part of the brain over and over again, it just kind of gets shut down. And so sometimes for our kids, we do, or even for us, we have to learn how to use those parts of the brain again. And so I'm just telling you this to just think about that, because I know when I work with a lot of families and even therapists, like they don't understand that when their kids are in that fight or flight, that's not the time to try to have a rational conversation, because they're not going to be able to understand you. They're not going to be able to hear you. They're not going to be able to process it. So you have to wait for the nervous system to calm down. You have to wait for everything to settle and for the stress hormones to leave the body. There are different things that you can do to try to help the stress hormones to exit the body quicker and to kind of help stop the stress hormones from being dumped. And those are different things like running, exercising, moving, just trying to get that movement can help with combating that. And then just engaging in some of the different mindfulness activities and different things to help with calming down the nervous system, that can help. But again, if you've never practiced those things when the body is calm, you're not going to be able to engage somebody in it at that point, because at that point when you're trying to, they don't even know how to go there. They don't really know how to even be able to process what it is that you're asking them to do, which is part of the reason why it's so important for us to practice these calming exercises when the body is calm, because we're trying to create memories and we're trying to create neural pathways so that the brain is able to remember what it is that it's supposed to do. So I hope these little tips are a little bit helpful for you. If you have any questions, just comment below. I'll be more than happy to send you some more information. Thanks.